between Miami and SMU. Yigitoglu and Kidd to get us started. Bert Smith on the whistle today with Bill Covington Jr. and Greg Evans. And here is the star of the win on Wednesday night, Boopie Miller. Plays with Matt Cross, B.J. Edwards, and also Chuck Harris in the starting lineup that Andy Infield's gone to here in the last couple of games, with Harris's three-pointer good to get the Mustangs going.
And the reason he put Harris into the starting lineup is he felt like they needed a spark at the start of the game, and so there you go. There's your spark at the start of the game. A three-point basket right out of the block.
Kidd the call for the ball against Yigitoglu at the block. And the big fellows battle. Left-hand move, and it falls off the iron and cross the rebound. Miami feels like they need a good start here today, Dan.
Yes, they sure do, and they need to be able to force some turnovers. They need to be able to get out and run, but particularly when Lynn Kidd gets the ball down there, they need him to put it in the basket, and Yigitoglu is a big man, 7'2". That's going to be a tough matchup.
Ball out of bounds, last touch by the Canes, so Boopie Miller will put it in to Chuck Harris.
And you got to find Harris. He is a dangerous three-point shooter.
Edwards out front with 13 to shoot. Here's Cross, who played 24 scoreless minutes the other night in Charlottesville, but is on the board here at Coral Gables.
Cross is a guy who recognizes mismatches and takes the ball right at him. That time, Bethea just couldn't handle him, couldn't keep him from driving past.
Cleveland out front, working against P.J. Edwards. Here's Austin Schwartz, Brandon Johnson. Transfer from East Carolina, hard to the glass on the bounce in the basket for the Hurricanes.
Well, now, Wes, that's a good move, but a very poor defensive play by SMU. Johnson is 0 for 19 shooting the three in ACC play, so why would you go for that fake and let him drive past you?
There's a lob. Yigitoglu the catch inside against Kidd, and the big fella scores. 20-year-old freshman from Istanbul averages 9 points and almost 7 rebounds a game for the Mustangs.
SMU in the man-to-man. They play mostly man-to-man. We'll play some zone.
Cleveland on a hard drive to the basket, and the scoop and score. Matthew Cleveland, who had only 2 points from the free throw line and took just 3 shots the other night.
Well, he's obviously got to be very much more active than that for Miami to have any idea of success.
Matt Cross, of course, started his college career here at Miami, then went to Louisville, then to UMass, and now at SMU. And the rebound slapped around, and Cleveland's got it for the Canes.
As I say, Miller shoots under 30% from beyond the three-point arc.
Unless the clock's running down.
Yes,
the game's
absolutely.
on the line, right?
People from Virginia are saying, where was that the other night?
Look at Kidd go up and under.
Again, that's a couple of shots. He's taken 2 shots, and those are shots he would normally make.
Hard drive. Harris on the window for his second field goal. Chuck Harris has got 5 of the first 9 here for the Mustangs. Austin Schwartz in the lineup to handle the ball today. They do have Divine Ogochukwu for the first time in about 4 ball games. That ball last touched by Miller. It will stay with Miami.
So
and
Wes,
into the lineup comes A.J. Staten McCray, and he's going to replace Bethea for the Canes.
So since Harris has 5 of the first 9 and he had 7 of the first 9 the other night, you would say that Andy Infield's strategy of getting going early in the game with Harris is working.
Yeah, they put Johan Trejor on the bench, inserted Harris, and SMU's been much stronger with the start. And Miami gets a second chance off the miss here. Cleveland against Edwards. Schwartz out of the right corner. And Kidd the rebound. Another crack at it.
Great balance by Lynn Kidd. I don't know how he kept him falling down.
Here's Brandon Johnson. Out front, Staten McCray off the bench, knocks down a 3. 15th of the year for the transfer from Samford. Averaged almost 7 the last 3 games, coming off the bench for interim head coach Bill Courtney.
He's not a great three-point shooter, Wes, only 28% from out there, but they needed that one.
Miller. Edwards at range, or Harris rather at range, fall away over Staten McCray. And Miami had 3 guys around it. Nobody could hold on to it. It'll stay with SMU. So the Mustangs lead the Canes 9-7 here early. As you see, 54 4-year-old Bill Courtney from Alexandria, Virginia, the interim head coach since Jim Larinaga stepped down the day after Christmas here in Coral Gables. Yigitoglu the catch and layup.
Great catch, Wes, and he just laid it right in the basket. No wasted motion whatsoever.
Samet had 10 and 6 the other night at Charlottesville, averaging 9 and 7. He had 10 and 13 rebounds against Duke. McCray, back rim miss. And it's a 4-point SMU lead. Cross out of the corner. A 3-ball from Matt Cross. He's got 5. You know, Dan, prior to the scoreless 24 minutes the other night at Charlottesville, he'd been averaging 11 and 9 in 3 ACC games.
Well, Wes, also prior to the other night, he had 8 straight games where he had 8 rebounds or more. That streak was broken against Virginia, but Cross is a really good player.
Swartz against Miller's pressure. Here's Johnson. Cleveland with 6 to shoot. Step back 3 at the front. And Yigitoglu the rebound for SMU.
Wes, there's not a lot of player movement on this Miami offense. Too much dribbling.
Edwards from Miller. Boopie on the baseline. Now here's Edwards. Into traffic, kick for Cross. Harris standing near the U. Knocks down the 3. Chuck Harris has got 8. And the lead is quickly 10 for the Mustangs here in the first 5.5 minutes.
And Cross had a wide open 3 and passed it up to a guy with a better one.
Miami needs an answer. It's an 8-0 run now by SMU. Cleveland, 10 to shoot, and this is Johnson. Into traffic through a double team, turned it over. Cross has it, here's Boopie Miller. Skip and catch, 3-ball from Edwards. Good.
Wow.
B.J. Edwards a triple. That's 4 of them for SMU, and the lead is 13. They are 8 of 10 from the floor and on 11 value in every game they play, and the premium is also going to be there.
But they're going to have opportunities, West, to have some success to really improve their net, and then they have games like this one where they got to really be careful so they don't shoot themselves in the foot. They have to employ the Al Davis theory, Wes. Just win, baby.
Yep. Paul Jobay on the floor. He wears number 10 for the Canes. That's Lynn Kidd at the post, working on Johan Traore. Kidd spins back with the left hand, and Bill Covington Jr. whistles the game's first foul.
Well, that's another tough matchup as Traore picks up the foul, but it's not as tough as the 7'2" Yigitoglu. But one thing you'll notice when the ball goes inside to Lynn Kidd, SMU is not double teaming. They're going to play him one-on-one in there. They don't want to give up 3-point shots.
First free throw by Kidd is good. He is 79% on the year. Miami shoots 78 overall and just 72 in ACC play. Grad transfer, started his career at Clemson, then Virginia Tech, and now Miami. And he's got a pair of free throws.
Wes, he averaged under 2 points a game his first season at Clemson. Wasn't much better than that his first season at Virginia Tech, but blossomed into a really good player. Low post presence last year.
There's Cross on the tap follow of the miss by Harris. Matt Cross has got 7 here.
Man, he's a tremendous rebounder on both ends, Wes. You got to make sure you find him and block him out.
Ogachukwu, hard drive and a flip and score. Divine Ogachukwu, the freshman from Sugar Land, Texas, who's missed the last 2 with injury. Important basket maybe to get him going a little bit in his return to the lineup for Bill Courtney. Cross inside, tried to slide a bounce pass to Traore. SMU's going to turn it over, but you look at the Mustangs, Dan. You said earlier, man-to-man for the most part, a little bit of zone, but they are all offense.
Well, they are a really good offensive team. You can see those numbers right there. And Andy Enfield, he's got the reputation of having a tremendous mind for offensive basketball, and nothing we've seen from SMU so far this season would give lie to that statement.
State McCray, this is Jobay. Ogachukwu and Schwartz, who started the game at the point, play together here in the sequence. 10 to shoot for Lynn Kidd on the bounce. Traore defends him with 5. Kidd got to do something. He'll turn with the left hand, missed everything. Rebound pulled away. Oquendo
Oh,
to
what a
Miller.
pass.
Bounce pass, Traore, fouled by Kidd, and Johan hit the deck. But I think is okay on the Kidd personal. It'll be his first and the first on Miami.
That was a hard foul, Wes, and the officials may take a look at this one. And they are. They're going to take a look at that one to see if it's a flagrant foul.
And the question will be, did Kidd make a play on the ball?
Well, it doesn't make a
Previous
difference.
play is under
He
review
can
for
make
the
a play
action on the
ball,
basket.
Wes, but if the contact is judged to be excessive or unnecessary, see, he comes down really hard and slaps him across the arm, and he is basically in a vulnerable position trying to go up for the basket.
We're almost 8 minutes into this first half. SMU still rolling with that great start, up 11. Traore, the foul from Lynn Kidd, and after review, Dan, this officiating crew has assessed Kidd with a flagrant 1.
They have assessed Kidd with a flagrant 1, Wes, and that contact, they ruled that contact was unnecessary. And even though he was taking a swipe to get the ball, he came nowhere close to the ball. So they also decided that that wasn't really a legitimate attempt to play the ball. There you go. So it's excessive contact, not really a legitimate attempt to play the ball.
And Lynn Kidd goes to the bench. And meanwhile, Johan Traore gets his first point.
Well, and Traore, in that particular situation, he was the guy who's fouled, so he shoots the free throws. And since it's a flagrant 1, it's two shots and the ball.
And Miami gives up an easy basket to Chuck Harris.
SMU is now 10 for 13 from the field, West.
And Harris has got his 4th field goal. He's double figures very quickly in the first 8 minutes of the ball game. Ogachukwu plays with Schwartz. Kyrie Huey wears 15 for Miami. He's coming to spell Kidd. Paul Jobay on the floor, as is Staten McCray. Here's Jobay with a quick move in traffic. Tried to feed it to Staten McCray. Last touch by SMU. 1.3 on the shot clock. And here's Bethea back into the ball game.
Wes, we've talked about the SMU offense, but their defense has been very solid today. Miami just can't penetrate inside.
So Ogachukwu spot throw in on the baseline.
And again, only 1.3 seconds, very little time.
They went for a lob look. SMU covered that up, and Oquendo the steal on the inbounds. And Cross puts the Mustangs in somewhat of a transition chance here.
Well, they want to get out and go.
Back for Boopie Miller. Traore calling for it against Huey. Cross a catch and shoot 3 is short. And a rebound pulled down by Staten McCray.
And Miami would like to push when they can, Wes, so SMU doing a nice job getting back.
Ogachukwu on the drive. Had it raked out. Cario Oquendo. And here's Traore circling underneath and gets the roll. 3 points for Johan Traore, who's from Tours in France. And the lead is 16 now for the Mustangs, who've hit 7 of their last 9. And Miami looking for points for the first time in better than 2 minutes. Jobay threw it up on the glass, not close.
Wes, you're not going to shoot a very high percentage when you're shooting shots like that.
Oquendo a 3. Got it. And another Miami timeout. 25th 3 of the year for Oquendo opens the scoring. And it's a 19-point lead on another 8-0 run to 4 in totality. And it's been driven a lot by the 3 ball, 5 of their 12 field goals.
Well, they have done a pretty good job getting into the lane, forcing the defense to collapse, and then kicking it back out for 3s. And then they're even more dangerous when they're shooting those 3s in transition.
Yep. Left side, here's Bethea.
They've got to get Cleveland and Kidd involved in this offense. Kidd has shot the ball a couple times, but they haven't been good shots. He's really good in a screen and roll situation. They got to create some of those.
Jobay dials in his 6th three of the year. He played 12 minutes the other night at Duke. He's averaging about 14 a game. And Paul Jobay, a sophomore from France, who played his high school ball at West Oaks Academy. And what a look that is to Yigitoglu for his 3rd field goal, Dan.
Wow. He saw, Boopie Miller saw he was being guarded by Lynn Kidd and threaded that pass through a series of arms.
2-point goal for Jaleel Bethea, the freshman from Philadelphia.
And he's a guy with a reputation as somebody who can really put the ball in the basket. They're going to need some of that.
Yep.
Miami drops back into a zone.
Boy, SMU is cooking from behind the line, aren't they?
Well, they're cooking from behind the line because they're getting dribble penetration.
Yigitoglu tried to skip it from Miller. Got deflected, pull up 2, good for Boopie Miller.
And that's the best part of Boopie Miller's game, Wes, attacking that basket, getting to the goal, or pulling up for that jump shot.
By the way, that's his first point of the ball game. It's one of those things where he's already got 4 assists, and you think he's impacted the game long before he scratches scoring-wise. Cleveland threw it away. And another look here at Boopie Miller's delivery to Yigitoglu.
Well, Wes, this is what you're talking about. Kidd turns and goes, and so Miller has a lane, and he finds it somehow, and then he's really good at this. He's so quick with that dribble. Matthew Cleveland can't stay with him, and he gives himself just enough room to hit that pull-up.
So here is Miller now with a Quindo. Screened by Ambrose Hilton, who's checked into the ball game. He wears 22 in the red jersey. He and Yigitoglu playing together, Dan. Here's a Quindo up strong against Kidd, partially blocked. Edwards recovers, lobs, and Yigitoglu sets it down. Samet has 8. And SMU's gone the first nearly 12 minutes of the ball game. They've not missed consecutive field goal attempts yet. In building what is a 20-point lead. Cleveland just above the foul line.
Well, you take that shot if you're Miami. Cleveland is really good with that pull-up jumper. Miami back to the man-to-man.
There goes Miller. He'll skip it in the corner. Edwards, lob for Ambrose Hilton to catch. Out of the corner, Miller on the hard drive. Flipped it up over the top of Kidd. Yigitoglu couldn't tap it back. Ambrose Hilton finally follows it home.
Now that's a tremendous size advantage on the interior for SMU. And that means Ambrose Hilton has to guard a smaller guy, but Miami hasn't been able to take advantage of such a mismatch.
22-point lead, 7.5 to play in the first. Here in Coral Gables.
Yigitoglu is doing a great job making Kidd catch the ball a little further away from the basket than he wants to.
5 to shoot. Long 3 by Schwartz. No good. Ambrose Hilton the rebound. Outlet from Miller. Back for a Quindo who thought about it. And it looks like Harris stepped out of bounds. That'll get us to a timeout. SMU in control by 22. And Samet Yigitoglu off the nice lob sets it down. Yigitoglu's got 8. SMU leads by 22.
As you say, the day after Christmas, he was named the tough.
And there's a turnover by Miami. That'll be number 4 on Courtney's Canes here in the first half.
But Wes, when you come right down to it, if it wasn't for bad luck, Miami wouldn't have had any luck at all since their Final Four run. Last year, they played 12 of their 20 ACC games with at least one starter out, and in some cases more than one, and they've been riddled with injuries again this year.
There's a catch and a score. Ambrose Hilton on the board for the second time in this first half. And now the lead is up to 24.
And Miami has, as an illustration, they've used 7 different starting lineups this year.
Bethea fall away on the baseline is good. Boy, what a pretty move, Jaleel Bethea. That's his second field goal. Oquendo tees up another three, and Cario has no problems. If you give him a window, he will jump right through it.
Well, and he's very aggressive about it, Wes.
Yep.
He's one of the more aggressive offensive players in this league. He's always looking for his opportunity.
Yeah, he's at his third school in 3 years. Started at Georgia, went to Oregon, now at SMU. And he is a factor offensively. And to his credit, he's also been part of the defensive prowess they've shown.
Again, Wes, on this particular possession, Yigitoglu does a great job forcing Kidd to catch the ball a few feet off the lane. So by the time Kidd gets 3 or 4 dribbles and gets closer, it's too late.
Yeah, and you see where Miami is defensively. In addition to the inconsistencies they've had today at the offensive end, defense has been more of a focal point. There's a long three attempted by Brandon Johnson,
who is now 0 for 20 from 3 in ACC play.
Oquendo collected on the deflection by Harris. Oquendo from the U, back rim miss. And Edwards had a crack at it, last touched by Bethea. And that'll get Matthew Cleveland back into the lineup for Miami. And Jaleel Bethea will sit down for Coach Courtney and the Canes.
Well, Wes, it's not all on Matthew Cleveland. That's not at all what I mean to say here. But if Miami is going to have any success at all, Matthew Cleveland has to perform on both ends of the court.
Miller out front. Straightaway three, good for Boopie Miller. He's got 5 now.
Now, when you give him a chance to set his feet like that, Wes, that's when he's most dangerous shooting the three. And how about that, the spin on that ball? It was like a knuckleball going up there.
Yep. Joe Bay. Boy, Miami really fighting it now. 6 straight by the Mustangs. 4 of their last 5 from the floor. Joe Bay tries to get something on the glass. Cannot. Jarrell Colbert, by the way, in the game. And there's a lob, and at the other end, Edwards lays it in. 5 for B.J. Edwards. And the Canes went 94 feet, sparked by the rebound off the glass by Colbert.
You know, as I say, I think Lynn Kidd is one of the better operators in this conference in screen and roll situation, but we have not seen that.
Their run, if you want to take it all the way back, is 37-6 in this first half.
Well, again, there's Schwartz, and of course Miami's playing right at the moment without a point guard, but Schwartz just too much dribbling.
Yep, Cleveland almost had it picked. Edwards then had it deflected by Colbert, and Greg Evans will take the whistle and say it belongs to SMU.
Wes, if you're gonna have any offensive consistency at all, you need ball movement, you need player movement, and the easiest thing for a defense to guard is some guy who's just dribbling the ball.
On the drive, the scoop, and the score is good for Boopie Miller.
Unless that guy dribbling the ball is going to go right past you, and if you're going to dribble the ball, that's what you have to do. You have to go somewhere.
The Mustangs are a point off their best first half of the year with 4 minutes to go, and they've got 50.
Weston, they only scored 54 the other night in the whole game against Virginia.
Turned over, Ambrose Hilton, Colbert, Schwartz will run down in the corner and recover it for Miami.
That's great hustle by Schwartz.
Sure is. 10-0 run, 18-2 total here for Coach Enfield's club. Entry pass stolen away. Edwards ahead for Miller, and here are the Mustangs again. A lob and a catch. Colbert and a score. Jarrell Colbert's first points.
Number one, he did a great job running the court, Wes. And the second thing is he did a good job not trying to dunk that thing in with an off-balance play. He caught the ball and went right back up.
And there's a foul
for it, but Andy Enfield in his first year at SMU has really done a nice job. This is a very interesting team.
And a ball thrown away. Ogochukwu, I think, was trying to bounce it inside. Nobody home. Here's Miller, the turnover. Now Cross. And a quick hitter for Oquendo, who had it roll out. And then Brandon Johnson lost it over the inline. Andy Enfield, of course, 55 years of age. First year in Dallas. He's 13-4. It's his 14th year as a head coach. Florida Gulf Coast, of course, Southern California. He's 274 and 179. I thought it was a smart hire by Rick Hart.
I think so too. I think so too, Wes. I mean, Andy Enfield You know, when we first met him, he was like the shot doctor at Florida State, teaching him how to shoot free throws. No problem with shooting here.
By the way,
SMU
they worked.
today.
It worked. By the way, Florida State.
Absolutely, it did.
Yeah.
But Andy Enfield was a great college basketball player at Johns Hopkins. He scored a lot of points, so when he talks about shooting, he knows what he's talking about.
Yep. Brandon Johnson, a long three. Can't buy one. Oquendo the rebound. Mustangs have set a new high for first quarter scoring in this opening 20 minutes. And here's Yigitoglu going to work on Kidd, and that'll be Lynn Kidd's second foul. It'll be the second on Miami. A couple of free throws coming for Samet Yigitoglu. Quick reminder to you, Super Tuesday, number 15 Mississippi State, number 6 Tennessee at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. Then at 9 o'clock from Winston-Salem on ESPN, Carolina and Wake Forest. Deacons, by the way, leading at Blacksburg this afternoon. Tar Heels and Stanford Cardinal underway in the ACC at Chapel Hill. And a dribble drive score for Boopie Miller. He's got 9 in the first half. 56-18, Dano.
Wow, it's real. And again, at one point, this score was 9-7.
That's it. Kyrie Huey trying to get some position against Yigitoglu. Back to Swartz. Got deflected. Keeps it with 12 to shoot. Cleveland thought about the three. Step in 2 is good. Second field goal for Matthew Cleveland.
Wes, that Miami needed that, obviously, but when that ball went inside to Huey, everybody just stood there and watched. Nobody cut. Nobody tried to get in position. And they were fortunate not to have a turnover.
Harris working against Staten McRae. Boy, what a good start Chuck Harris had to the ball game, and it continues. He's now got a dozen in the first half. He leads SMU in points. The lead 38 for the Mustangs, and there's Swartz's answer. It's a 2-pointer for Austin Swartz's first basket.
It's good to get the ball down the court and try to get the shot up before SMU can set its defense.
Miller. Here's Yigitoglu again. Kyrie Huey defending. The big freshman from Turkey, strong to the basket. 10 points for Samet Yigitoglu.
And strong is the word for that, Wes. He just muscled his way past. Wes, they've got 60 points.
Yep, sure do. And a 38-point lead again. There goes Johnson. Swartz by Miller and try to get it to Huey through traffic. And Kyrie Huey gets his first point as a Miami Hurricane. Huey on the board. He didn't play this season, missed the first 16 games, recovering from a hand injury after he transferred from Idaho State. He averaged 11 points and a half dozen rebounds a year ago for the Bengals. And the Mustangs are going to hold here for the last shot of the half. Miller threw it away. Here's Brandon Johnson with 5, runner and a lob for the Cleveland dunk. And that'll be the end of the half. Georgia Tech and Miami in the last 2 first halves on a Saturday in the ACC, 110-45.
Good,
Dan. And it was funny because Andy Enfield almost kind of summarized a little bit of what they did last Saturday against Georgia Tech coming off the Carolina loss, Dan. When they put Chuck Harris in the lineup, we needed more offensive punch. Well, they've gotten it.
Well, specifically, he needed more offensive punch to start the game.
Yeah. And a missed 3 by Johnson. Tapped out last by Miami, says Bill Covington Jr. And there's a look at Harris, the young man from Ashburn, Virginia, who transferred in from Butler.
That was the best ball movement and player movement that Miami's had for a while.
Yep. And over the inline out of bounds, last touch by Cleveland.
Well, Yigitoglu just got tangled up inside there. That was Miller trying to get him. I think Cleveland tipped it away.
So here's Miller, 15 to shoot for the Mustangs. There's Harris in the catch against Bethea. Cross out front's been relatively quiet, had 9 in the first half. This is Harris on a reroute, threw it up, and Yigitoglu stuffs it home. He's got a dozen.
And that's been part of the problem for the Miami defense. The guards for SMU have been able to penetrate past their defenders and get into the lane and create those kinds of opportunities.
Cleveland on the drive, and Samet Yigitoglu draws the foul. It'll be his first of the half on Andy Enfield's club.
Well, one of the principles of defense, first principles, you got to keep your guy in front of you, and Johnson didn't do that. Nice job by Harris to get by. No help inside, and if you leave a 7'2" guy that close to the basket, that's going to happen.
Matthew Cleveland to the free throw line, 73% on the year. Has 7 in the ball game now. He had only 2 points the other night in Durham. He had 6 straight in double figures, including 22 last Saturday against Wake Forest, before seeing that streak snapped on Tuesday night rather, at Cameron.
Now, Cleveland is just a really good player, and now when you're playing against Duke and SMU today, you're playing against 2 really good teams.
Miller trying to elude a double team with Johnson and Schwartz. Here is Harris. That 3 got blocked by Cleveland. Scooped up Brandon Johnson. Back for Cleveland out front. He'll take it down, score, and draw the foul from Harris.
That's great play by Cleveland on both ends of the court, Wes.
Yep. Best sequence we've seen from Miami at both ends, Dan, in this ball game.
Well, they came out with some pressure. They're trying to change the tempo, and that's a nice job by Cleveland to block that shot without fouling. And then he does a nice job getting down the court, taking the contact, and still scoring.
10 for Cleveland, make it 11 with the free throw. He leads Miami in scoring. In fact, he's the only guy in double figures and the only guy with more than 4. Out of the corner, Miller drains the 3. A dozen now for Boopie Miller. That's his second triple of the afternoon.
And again, he got a chance to get his feet set, Wes, and when he's ready like that, there's
and a foul called.
Bit of a push here. This is what Miller usually does. He gets into the lane and pitches it out, but when Miller gets a chance to get set like that and has some time to shoot that 3, he is a much better than 29% three-point shooter.
Yigitoglu drew the foul, his third of the half on SMU, who only had 2 in the opening 20 minutes. There were only 4 fouls called in the first half. 10 to shoot for Brandon Johnson. Fall away is too strong. And B.J. Edwards the rebound. He'll pitch it ahead. Harris the catch, almost traveled with it. Crowd thought he did.
They can't travel unless you possess it.
And Miller lobs to Trey Hoare for another dunk. 5 now for Johan Trey Hoare.
But Wes, we're like in Groundhog Day here. The same thing keeps happening over and over again.
Yeah, the dribble drive penetration, Dan's been way too easy for SMU. They got plenty of conversion ops on the back end, but they have missed, and a follow.
I think Cleveland's going to get called for a push-off.
Cleveland going to be ticketed with the foul. It'll be his first. It's the first of the half on Miami.
Wesson, do you know who went flying out of bounds after Cleveland pushed him? It was Boopie Miller. So with all the other stuff he does, he got in the way of Matthew Cleveland and prevented him from getting that offensive rebound.
Cross will put it in play to Miller. Almost 3 minutes gone now in this second half. Double team pressure. Here's Miller skipping it across. Cross lines up a 3. Matt Cross's second triple of the afternoon. He has a dozen now.
Wes, if you're going to trap there, you either have to steal the ball or you have to make the guy stop dribbling. If you let the guy dribble out, you're in trouble.
It's a 2-pointer for Austin Schwartz. It's his second basket. Comes in averaging 6. And a drive on the end line, turned over and out of bounds by Miller. And another look at Matt Cross on the catch and shoot.
Well, Miller gets him the ball after penetration, and it's just, there you go. You see 4 players around Miller trying to stop his drive, and there's nobody there to defend Cross.
SMU, with 3 minutes gone in this second half, still has not missed consecutive field goal attempts today.
They're getting great shots, Wes. And even when you get great shots, it's hard to have a run like they've had.
Bethea off a kid screen toward the corner. Here's Joe Bay off the bench for Bill Courtney. Now Kidd the catch. Backs down on Cross. Double team help from Trey Hoare. Left hand move, and a foul will be called on SMU. And it's going to be on Cross. First on the senior transfer from Beverly, Mass.
On a team Miami that has been struggling on offense. Lynn Kidd still doesn't have a field goal.
Yep. Just a couple of free throws for Kidd, who will go back to the line. This is his 102nd career game. And if you take his last 50, Dan,
okay,
which is the 2 years at Virginia Tech and the first 17 of Miami career, he's averaging 12.5 points, almost 7 rebounds.
Wes, last year he was number 4 in the NCAA in field goal percentage.
That's correct. 65.5% in the ACC, by the way.
Well, he can operate around the basket, but today I think he's really been bothered by the SMU size.
Yep. And he got 1 of 2 there, so he's got 3 in the ball game. And I think your point earlier about Kidd is, you know, he only played those 7 games his first year at Clemson. He played 77 of them at Virginia Tech. What a difference it made a year ago for him, 11.6 rebounds in conference play, let alone the field goal average. On the drive, Oquendo turns it over.
Well, didn't he have the highest increase in scoring average in the conference last year?
Yeah, exactly. He and Ian Shefflin were right there neck and neck. 3 ball from Cleveland rattled out. Crossing the Mustangs, as they have all afternoon, pressing the issue offensively, and look at the score on the drive by Edwards.
When you miss a 3, you generally get a long rebound, and SMU, they're just not hesitating at all. They're getting it, and they're going. And, of course, that's what the Mustangs want to do. They want to get out and go.
Divine Ogachukwu into the ball game. Where's 99 for the Canes? Here's Cleveland working on Oquendo. Boy, pretty physical on the perimeter there. Here's Joe Bay. Kick out for Cleveland. Shot fake, launches. And with the shot clock going down, Joe Bay, the offensive rebound. Kidd will give Miami a 3rd try. Bounces for Cleveland, and he can't score it, but draws the foul from Cross. 2 on Matt Cross here in the second half. 5 on the Mustangs.
I thought would really damage Louisville, but has given Scott an opportunity, and he's taken advantage.
Boy, look at this. Last 2 seasons, they won 12 games. Today was win 14 for the Cards, who are now 7-1 in the ACC play. Clemson is a winner as well. They won an overtime game, just the 2nd conference game in the ACC to go to overtime. Here's a backcourt steal with pressure. Cleveland the basket and draws the foul from Tibet Gorner. So Matthew Cleveland has come with a little more assertiveness here in the second 20 minutes.
Well, again, the pressure by Miami creates a turnover, and you know, if Miami can create turnovers and get down and get easy shots to help their half-court offense, I mean, they're not bad offensively, Wes. They've been today, but they have some capable scorers.
8.5 for Cleveland, make it 9. He's got 15 in the ball game. And front court comes Gorner, young man also from Turkey. He's a senior transfer from San Jose State, started his career at Arizona back in 2021.
And they brought Gorner in to shoot 3s, and he hadn't really shot the 3 very well so far this year.
And turned over, here's Joe Bay. Bethea with Cleveland, Kidd, and here's Ogachukwu. Cleveland on the drive. The scoop with the right hand off the glass and in.
Wes, we talked earlier in the game about how Miami was trying those drives to the basket. Well, once you move the ball from side to side a couple times and shift the defense around, that drive is much easier.
Gorner a 3, hit the front rim. Kidd for Joe Bay. Cleveland ahead. The lob, and the layup fell off, and he draws a foul. Matthew Cleveland
He has been
will get a couple of free throws here, and the foul again on Tibet Gorner. And they're going to score the basket, and they're going to review it, I think, first.
Well,
Previous play is under review for goaltending.
Wes, you can review the play as long as you call it a goaltend. And the reason they're reviewing it now, rather than waiting for the next media timeout, is because it determines how many free throws there will be. It's either, if it's not goaltending, it's 2. If it is, it's an and 1.
After just 2 fouls in the first half, SMU's now committed 7 here with just 6 minutes and 10 seconds gone in half 2. A lot of free throws left to go.
Wes, if you grab the rim while the ball, if you grab the net while the
Correct.
ball is on the rim, that is one of the things that could be goaltending.
After review, the call on the floor will stand as goaltending. The ball was interfered with while it was on the rim. Good basket. Miami will shoot 1 free throw.
So Cleveland will get an and 1 out of this. An 8-0 run by the Canes. 7th field goal of the afternoon for Matthew Cleveland. He's had quite a second half now. 13 and a half, chance to make it 14 if he can score this.
If you tug on the net while the ball is on the rim and it affects, the referees can rule that affects the shot, and obviously it did.
And the free throw good. Cleveland is now 6 for 7 at the free throw line.
Well, the Hurricanes haven't packed it in, Wes.
Nope.
They've been very aggressive with this defense.
After as rugged an opening 20 minutes as anybody could survive through, Miami's come out here with a little more polish to what they're doing, really at both ends of the floor.
Yes. Well, you know, when you're getting easier opportunities, your offense looks a little better.
Out front is Edwards. Off a Yigitoglu screen, back to the big fella, and he draws the foul going to the basket. Couple of free throws for Samet on Matthew Cleveland's second personal. It'll be the second on Miami.
You know, at 7'2", he sets that screen and rolls to the basket, and that leaves Lynn Kidd up near the top of the key, and there isn't anybody big enough to even contest him.
Yigitoglu will have 2 here. And the first one is short. Don't forget, it all comes down to Monday night. College football playoff national championship game presented by AT&T. 7:30 from Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. Number 8 Ohio State, number 7 Notre Dame. Coverage on ESPN at 7:30 Eastern time. And one of the 2 good for Yigitoglu.
He shoots a lot of free throws, Wes. Unfortunately, he's under 60% for the year.
Ogachukwu on the drive, blocked by Quindo. Miller coming the other way. Edwards one dribble, Cross standing alone, knocks down the 3.
Wes, he actually fumbled that catch, but he had all the time in the world to reseat the ball and fire.
Yep. Nobody around him, quite frankly. Cleveland against Miller. Into traffic. Jobay thought about the 3. Right-hand runner, and Yigitoglu the rebound. Miller for Cross again. He'll launch. Back rim miss, and last touch Gorner. And the ball will be awarded to Miami. Tibet Gorner from Turkey. Arrived in the United States at age 16 from Istanbul. 21 season at Arizona. Last year at San Jose State, 11 points, 4 rebounds. Dan, he's hit 174 career threes.
Yeah, but only 4 this year, Wes. And in a game like this, Andy Enfield would really like to get him going a little bit.
Yep.
You know, Gorner's one of those guys, you know, he's made so many threes. If he could just get a couple to go in the basket, then that might change the whole deal.
He's also a guy that as the longer the season goes for SMU, his value to shoot the basketball increases.
Yes.
Divine Ogachukwu at the free throw line. Front end of the 1-and-1 is good. Ogachukwu 59% on the year. Seeing his first action in the last 3 games. Missed the last 2 with injury.
And again, the injury bug has been bad for Miami.
Yep. And the second one.
And that allows him to set the pressure.
And Bert Smith, a little game management here on the shot clock.
Well, the shot clock didn't start. So Bert decided 3 seconds have elapsed. So here we go again.
Yep. Miller working against Ogachukwu. Yigitoglu blocked away by Kidd, recovered Samet, tried to dunk it home, going to draw the foul. And it is on Matthew Cleveland. Third on Cleveland of the half, third in the ball game.
Yigitoglu handed the ball off and just cut right to the basket, and the defense was a little behind him.
By the way, SMU just missed consecutive field goals for the first time.
Well, does that count if he got fouled?
Oh, it was on the block.
On the block,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yigitoglu, by the way, in one preseason publication was listed as a developmental player. I think he's passed on that. But
what's he developing now?
Well, I mean, amazingly, at 20 years of age, he has already played professional basketball in Macedonia in the Adriatic League. I had no idea, by the way, there was an Adriatic League. But
there are leagues everywhere, Wes.
Yeah, but maybe more importantly, Dan, he was an under-20 player for Turkey in the Euros. The Hill for what amounts to a homecoming game for Newport, Maine freshman Cooper Flagg, who, as you see, leads his teams in all 5 core statistical categories.
That's just ridiculous for a freshman.
Inside, here's Miller. He'll be fouled on the pump fake by Ogachukwu. First on Devine and the 4th on the Canes.
And we've talked about Cooper Flagg, and you watch him on television, you think, boy, that guy's really good. And then you see him in person, and what you see on television isn't anywhere close to as good as he is.
Right. I've shared that sentiment with a couple different people, and they look and go, like, what do you mean? And I said, well, for instance, he takes the ball off the glass and in 2 dribbles sees the floor. It's just an amazing gift, and what a talented kid he is. Now, the other night in Durham, Corey Alexander shared a story after talking with some of Cooper's family. Miller hits the free throw, 4 in the half, 13 in the game. That some of the Flagg friends and family for tonight's game at Boston bought season tickets to BC to ensure they would get this game.
Wow.
So, and as you and I both know, Duke games in Boston always have a strong Duke presence.
Absolutely.
Tonight might be bigger than those. 8 o'clock tonight on ESPN for Flagg and the Blue Devils against Earl Grant's Eagles. Inside, and here's Kidd out of trouble, and now we got a shot clock situation. Yep, think so. They're gonna. There it is. 16.
It should not have reset to 30. It should have reset to 20.
So there you have it.
Lynn Kidd still does not have a field goal.
Right.
He had the ball underneath the basket there after that rebound, and normally he would power that right back up, but he actually went away from the basket.
Yigitoglu was right there in his pocket.
Yigitoglu is a big man.
Yep. Here's Schwartz to put it in play with Cleveland, who has been Miami's offense here in the second half. 34 the difference here, with just better than 11 to play. Boy, Brandon Johnson a little up and under. And second field goal for Brandon Johnson from Roseville High School outside of Raleigh, transferred from East Carolina, where started 31 games this season ago and averaged 14 points a contest.
Miami has played better in this half because their defense has been better.
Oquendo, right corner, Miller all alone. Back rim misses the 3. Cross will give him another crack. How about Boopie again? Sure, you bet. Boopie Miller now with 3 threes in the game, 16 in the game, and it's 82-47.
Wes Miller came into this game with a total of 6 threes in ACC play.
Oquendo with the windmill. 8 for Cario Oquendo, and that one had a little flair to it.
Well, he's a guy, I think, who likes a little flair.
Oh, man, does he. Staten McCray. And the rebound from Miller. Transition chance for SMU. Edwards for Cross. Halfway home in half 2. Oquendo. Here's Miller on the attack. All the way down, blocked by Schwartz. It'll stay with SMU with 13 to shoot. And another look at the highlight play from Cario Oquendo.
Well, Oquendo, we said, is a really good offensive player, and he enjoys when he gets the ball. He likes to attack.
Here's Miller Out of the corner, that's Edwards, and it's good.
Wow.
B.J. Edwards' second three of the game. He's into double figures with 10.
Well, he doesn't shoot a high volume, Edwards, but he's a very good three-point shooter.
And now a steal. Here's Oquendo working on Cleveland, spinning through traffic. He'll draw the Miami foul. And more free throws, I think. Nope, we'll get a side out of bounds. And it's Brandon Johnson. It's his first. It's 5 on Miami.
Wes, that was a harder play by Oquendo than it looked because he was off balance. He had to catch that ball, get himself stopped without traveling, and then taking it to the basket.
Terrio Oquendo's only had one double-figure game in his last 7. He's got 9. The first time they played Virginia this year. Remember, SMU has now swept the Cavaliers.
And that's the first time anybody swept Virginia since the 2019 season.
Yeah. Oquendo had 21 in the game in Dallas the other night. Not as successful, but he's back to double figures now for a second time in the last 8 games. And there's a steal by Miller from Schwartz, and Boopie's gonna punch it. How about you, Boopie Miller? Boopie Miller stared at the bench as if somebody over there might have doubted him on his team.
Well, he's only 6 feet tall. That's what they list him at. I'm not sure he's that tall.
9 to play. 91-47. State McCray. Shot clock winding down, and A.J. State McCray's got 5 on his second field goal. Out of the corner, Oquendo. Yigitoglu the rebound. Quickly back for Cario Oquendo. Cross through traffic and rejected by Kyrie Huey. There'll be a foul on Huey. It'll be his first, Dan.
So Boopie Miller, I mean, he just waits for his chance, steals the ball, and this is a 6-foot-tall guy who dunks it. Watch the reaction of the bench.
Look at that. And then stares at the bench as if to say, do you doubt me? So we're going to get a break here. They're going to review, and I think what the review is to see if this was goaltended by Miami in particular. And Matt Cross will go to the line to shoot a couple of free throws. No goaltend on the play, so just a foul. Cross hits the first. Andy Enfield, of course, coached at Southern California through last season, won 220 games out there, and we were talking with him earlier today just about people he knows that were impacted. And like all of us, the devastation, the video, when you see the devastation,
it's just
Dan,
shocking.
it is shocking.
It's just shocking.
Yep. Cross hit a couple of free throws. He's subbed out. So Edwards with Colbert. Keon Ambrose Hilton has come on the floor with Oquendo and also Chuck Harris. And B.J. Edwards out there right now. By the way, Boopie Miller's got his first double-double of the year today for SMU. State McCray a shot fake. Cleveland with 6 to shoot. And that'll fall off the front rim, and Ambrose Hilton gathers the rebound.
Cleveland's got 20, and nobody else from Miami has more than 5.
Yep.
And Miami, they got it going a little bit early in the second half when they stopped turning the ball over, but they've had a rash of turnovers here recently, and that has allowed SMU to spurt out again.
Oquendo wants some help. Harris into the corner. Ambrose Hilton going to launch. Hit the side of the glass. He's now 3 for 11 from behind the line this year. And there's Cleveland at the other end, and another and one for Matthew Cleveland.
What's that, 3 for him in this half?
It is, yep. Cleveland's now got 16 in the half. And the foul on Chuck Harris.
And again, when you take a 3-point shot that misses that badly, it gives your opponent a chance to get out and go, and that's where Miami, that's what they want to do, and they just haven't had a lot of opportunities to do that today.
And Cleveland hits the free throw. He's now 7 out of 8 at the free throw line. He's had quite a second half. He's got 17 in the half, Dan, 23 in the ball game. And the Mustangs score easily at the other end.
That's a risk that you take when you pressure, Wes. You double team, that leaves somebody open, and Ambrose Hilton really took advantage of that one.
Kick out three, Johnson from deep. And the rebound for Harris with 7 minutes to go. It's a 43-point lead for the Mustangs. Ambrose Hilton with the right hand off the window. He's a transfer from Alabama, from Toronto.
Yeah, Wes, but he was actually on the team at SMU last year.
Yep.
He's one of the 3 guys that elected to stay. And his minutes have picked up recently.
Ogachukwu knocks down the triple. Second 3 of the year for Divine Ogachukwu.
Boy, Ambrose Hilton was asking for a lob. They didn't see him.
In the corner, Oquendo knocks down the 3. Cario Oquendo now, 7.5, 13 in the ball game. And the century mark for SMU with 6 minutes to go.
Yeah, so 6 minutes left in the game.
And Brandon Johnson finally hits a 3.
That's his first 3 in ACC play.
3 ball missed by Harris.
And what did Bill Courtney tell us about Johnson before the game? That he makes threes in practice all the time.
Yep.
And he feels like if he just can get a couple to go in the game, then the dike is going to burst.
Colbert going to be called for the foul, 10 on SMU, and you see the most 100-point games in a season. 92-93, those are the days of John Shoemake coaching the Mustangs. Not to be confused with the days prior to that where John Concack played for SMU and Dave Bliss was their coach. 5 of the 100-point games this year for Andy Enfield.
The amazing thing there, Wes, is their top is 6 in 93 and then 5 this year, and their 4s are back in the 70s. Isn't it amazing people could score 100 points without the 3-point line or the shot clock?
And here are the numbers that back up their prowess, Dan.
Well, and there's not one of those numbers that's going to suffer from the performance that they've had today. I mean, this has just been a clinic of offensive basketball for the most part. Now, that stretch there early in the second half where SMU turned it over and allowed Miami to get out and go a little bit, that's one of the things that'll make Andy Enfield happy because his guys won't have done everything well.
5.5 to go in a 40-point game. Harris to back. Gorner drops a 3.
And much like Johnson from Miami, they're waiting for Gorner to get going. And again, Wes, how many times have we seen that? Penetrate in the lane, the defense collapses, they get out and get a 3.
Huey on the drive and eludes Colbert. And we're going to get a foul called on Gorner. It'll be the 3rd on the senior. And a couple of free throws for Miami with 5:08 to play. Don't forget, tomorrow on ACC Network, it's a women's basketball quadruple header. Boston College hosts Syracuse to get the afternoon started. And then number 14, North Carolina visits Pittsburgh. Louisville is at Virginia Tech, and Neil Ivey and dangerous number 3 Notre Dame host SMU. That's a quadruple header on ACC Network, also streaming live for you on the ESPN app. And one of the free throws for Huey. He's got 5. And it's a 42-point game. Traore, right-hand score. 6 now for Johan Traore.
And it's really tough. You can't help out against a guy like Traore because they've been kicking it out and knocking down threes all game long.
Cleveland at the top. Left side, State McCray.
You know, Miami has, SMU has made 14 3-point baskets today. I don't care how well you play, it's hard to beat somebody that makes 14 threes.
Kidd reverses 2 times and finally scores his first field goal of the day, Dan.
And it's going to be tough for Miami. You know, Lynn Kidd doesn't have to score 20 points every game, but when you get down to the 4-minute mark and he scores his first field goal, that's a game they're going to have a tough time winning. Oh, what a tip.
Tap follow A.J. George, I believe.
Yes, that was George.
Yep, on the board, just his 7th field goal of the year for the junior from Fresno, who played at Long Beach State a year ago.
Andy Enfield talked about him this morning, too, that he's a really good player.
Yep.
George, who just hasn't had a chance to play very much because of the SMU depth.
Yep, and Cleveland is got a season high, and that'll get us to a break. 3:35 to go in the game. SMU
really tailed off. They only shot 62% in the second half.
And here's Chuck Harris, who started off like he might go for 40 today. And this is his first point in the second half, Dan. He's got 13.
But Wes, that's his job. His job is to get him going early, and he did.
108 to 65. You know, back in the 60s and early 70s, the old Dallas Chaparrals out of the ABA used to play at Moody Coliseum. I'm sure they came over here to tangle with the old Miami Floridians a time or two. And this is like an old ABA game when you look at the point total for SMU. And there's a up and under reverse for Cleveland. He's working on a career high now. 27 for Cleveland on 10 of 16 shooting.
And the majority of that coming in the second half.
Yep, all but 6 of it. Gorner on the bounce. Colbert to work with a left hand. Traore the recovery. And he left it short. Yusuf Bashama, the transfer from Yale, on the floor for Miami, just his 6th appearance of the year. And you see George steal the ball from Staten McCray, and A.J. George will score off the deflections.
Just like they draw it up.
Yeah.
Just to keep in practice, Andy Enfield's still yelling at the referees.
And Cleveland has got another basket. And here's Harris. Backdoor look, Colbert to catch, and fouled by Bashama. And a quick reminder to you, Super Tuesday basketball for you on the ESPN family of networks. Will start you in Knoxville, number 6 Tennessee, and number 15 Mississippi State at 7. And then on ESPN at 9 o'clock Tuesday night, the Tar Heels and Deacons at Joel Coliseum. And the free throw by Colbert, good. And you see Keon Ambrose Hilton check into the lineup. Chuck Harris has come out.
Not often, Wes, do you see 112 points.
Nope.
With 2.5 minutes left in regulation.
And 4 now for Colbert. Cleveland has 23 in the second half, Dan. 29 in the game. Miami has only 20 from other players, besides the 23 from Matthew Cleveland.
Wow.
By the way, the Canes are headed to California next week. Wednesday at Stanford, Saturday at Cal. Here is Cleveland on the drive. Staten McCray, the 3. It'll bound away, and Ogochukwu with a reset of the shot clock as we go inside of 2. Staten McCray on the drive, and a whistle and a foul will be called. I think this is on Jarrell Colbert. It'll be his second. A couple of free throws for A.J. Staten McCray. This is the most points for Southern Methodist University in a road game ever.
Wow.
And we are looking at a Mustang basketball history that started in 1916. Here's A.J. Staten McCray. And the first of the free throws, no good, just his 21st attempt of the year. Had 10 points last Saturday against Wake Forest. He's been coming off the bench now the last 4 ball games for Bill Courtney. Thought we might see some things today, Dan. I didn't think we'd see 43 as a difference.
Well, and I don't think you thought we'd see 113.
Nope, but the Mustangs have been lethal. George trying to find a crease inside. Ambrose Hilton all the way under the basket, comes out on the spin and scores against Yusuf Bashama.
Well, Wes, and remember, Miami only had 26 in the first half, so they've played much better on the offensive end in the second, but they haven't had any answer for SMU.
Down low, here's Lynn Kidd to work with a right hand. He'll score. Second field goal for Kidd. 7 in the ball game, 5.5.
And that's what we're used to seeing from Lynn Kidd.
Yep.
I thought Yigitoglu's size really bothered him early.
Yeah, they led by 34 at the half. And it's 115 to 72 as A.J. George gets into traffic and will get the and one roll. And the foul is on Staten McCray. And A.J. George in his 10th game of the year, a chance to complete a 3-point trip. And here comes Trey Utter and Jackson Young into the ball game for the Mustangs.
Well, so the game must be over. You're putting in your walk-ons who have mustaches.
Yep. So Utter is a 6-foot junior from Argyle, Texas, who's playing for the first time in the last 16 games. He played 1 minute against Florida A&M. And Jackson Young is from metropolitan Kerrville, Texas. As George's free throw spins out, he did not play at Virginia. He played a minute last week. This will be his 4th game against the ACC this year and his 5th on the year. Staten McCray, spin out of the 3. Cleveland tried to follow. We'll get a whistle and a foul. It's on A.J. George. So Matthew Cleveland, who's already got a career high 29, a chance to add to it here in the final half minute.
Well, he's really been active and aggressive in the second half.
Yep. And Andy Enfield has already told his team no shots when they get the ball back here. Cleveland the first one. Well, in many ways, Dan, you feel for Bill Courtney. This is a difficult situation that is seemingly getting more difficult by the game.
Yes, absolutely, without any question. Now there's a 1/10 of a second difference between the shot clock and the game clock. So we'll get a buzzer and then we'll have to throw it in bounds again.
Yeah. By the way, 117 is going to be the 6th most points scored in a game ever by SMU.
Wow.
And that's going to be the final here today. 117 to 74.
Well, there you go. They just let it go. Nice.
43 points the difference. And the Mustangs score the most points since they scored 127 against James Madison.